Welcome back to Carneades.org. Today we're going to be looking at More's open question. This is an argument presented by G.E. Moore, and it's an argument against the very foundations of ethics. I know it's a little funny that we'd be doing any argument by G.E. Moore on a skeptical website, because G.E. Moore was a famous anti-skeptic, but he's pretty skeptical of things such as good and evil, so I'd love to include it. A quick caution, this is a basic introduction to the open question argument. If you want more information, check out Principia Ethica by G.E. Moore, or Russell's influence on Moore, the open question argument, on the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. With that out of the way, let's get started. Now, this is a question for the beginning of morality. That's what we're doubting here. Do good and evil exist? If so, what is good? Can we define good in any way? Is really the heart of More's open question. Before we get to the open question argument, we're going to take a quick look at a predecessor to the open question called the Barren tautology argument that was proposed by Bertrand Russell. So a Barren tautology is any analytically true statement. That's just a statement true by definition. A statement that provides us with no new information beyond the definitions of the words present. It provides no reason for action because all it's doing is defining the words there. Examples include bachelors or unmarried adult men. If you looked up bachelor in a dictionary, you'd just get unmarried adult man. Quadrupeds are four-footed animals. Triangles have three sides. These are all just statements that are true by definition, and they provide us with no reason for action. I wouldn't hear, oh goodness, triangles have three sides. I need to go do something based on that. No. So, if those are barren tautologies, can we create a barren tautology with good? Can we define good in some way, in some similar way? Well, let's look. Good is pleasure. Well, that doesn't really seem like a barren tautology for a couple reasons. Good isn't just defined as pleasure in a dictionary. And if I were to be told that good is pleasure, it would mean that I would go out and do something. I would change the way that I act based on that. If I was told very authoritatively that good is in fact pleasure, perhaps I would just go out and enjoy myself and have a lot of pleasure regardless of the consequences of that. What if good is happiness? Similarly, happiness isn't in the dictionary definition of good, and if I were told that good is in fact happiness, it would change the way I see the world. It would change the beliefs I have about the world. It would provide reason for action. Good is God's will. Well, definitely that's going to provide some reason for action. I need to go out into the world and do things based on that. I need to figure out what God's will is and how I can do that. And it's definitely something that's up for debate and not in the dictionary. Good is doing unto others as you would have others do unto you. Definitely something that's going to cause me to change the way that I act and change the way that I see the world. So none of these seem to be able to be barren tautologies, and because of this, we can't define good. Good can't have a nice dictionary definition, which means it's a concept that, it's a little spooky and we don't really want it in our ontology. Let's take a look at the argument. For any x, if good meant x, then x is good would be a barren tautology. If X is good is a barren tautology, it would not promote action or provide reason for Xness, pleasure, happiness, etc. Either X is good does not promote action, or good does not in fact mean X. Any X in X is good will promote action. Therefore, there's no X that actually means good. Good can't be defined. It's undefinable. It's just a nonsense word, practically. If you can go against premise 4 and actually find some X, some meaning of good that doesn't promote action and that acts like bachelors or unmarried men, some kind of analytically true statement, you can dismantle this argument. But Russell's betting that you can't. Now let's take a look at the open question argument, more specifically. It's a very similar argument, it just changes the words around a little bit. An open question is defined by Moore as a question where an understanding of the language does not suffice to answer. So examples of closed questions where understanding of the language does suffice to answer would be things like, are bachelors unmarried adult men? If you know the definition of every word in that sentence and you understand how the English language works, you have to answer, yes, of course bachelors are unmarried adult men. That's the definition of a bachelor. Are quadrupeds four-footed animals? Yes, of course. All you need are the definitions of the words present. Do triangles have three sides? Of course. If someone starts shouting, no, triangles don't have four sides, you're not going to have a discussion with them about whether or not triangles have three sides. You're going to say, I don't think you understand what a triangle is. I don't think you understand the definition of a triangle, because if you did, you would agree with the statement. Open questions, on the other hand, are things like, is the sky blue? It's possible the sky isn't blue, and the sky definitely isn't by definition blue. Similarly, are you hungry is definitely an open question, because you change from hungry to not hungry, theoretically, all the time. And there's nothing in the definition of you or hungry that's going to give you the other word, or going to give you an understanding of the sentence. Is pleasure good? Also is an open question. It's something that's up for debate. Some people believe it is, some people believe it isn't. Normal speakers of the language who understand completely every single word in that sentence can disagree on its answer. Is happiness good? Similarly, is God's will good? And really, anything that you throw in there for is blank good, there's going to be disagreement, and it's not going to be just like, are triangles things that have three sides? It's going to be something that's actually up for debate by real speakers of the language. Here's the argument. For any x, is x good will be an open question. If is x good is an open question, then no x is synonymous with good. Good is not synonymous with any predicate x. The meaning of a predicate is the property it stands for, therefore good is not a property, because there's no predicate that can stand for it. Good is just some weird concept we've invented that's not an actual property of things. Good doesn't, in some sense, exist. I'll leave you with a quote from Harry Potter. A foolish young man I was then, full of ridiculous ideas about good and evil. My master showed me how wrong I was. There is no good and evil. There is only power, and those too weak to understand it. Watch more videos at Carneades.org, and stay skeptical, everybody.